Hello and welcome back to Top 666. So if you don't know, Halloween is tomorrow. It is October 30th currently. So I thought it'd be fun to do a little two-parter here on Top 666, covering all of the Halloween franchise films. I would also like to note so that this Top 666 two-parter isn't 7 movies and then 6 movies. We will not be counting the original Halloween film in the franchise count because then that makes it 13 movies instead of 12. So this is ranking the sequels only, not the original film. So this first episode is going to cover from the original to H2O, and then part 2, which comes out tomorrow, will cover from Resurrection to Halloween Ends. Coming in at number 6 is Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. So this is me ranking the theatrical cut. Obviously, there's like the producer's cut that has a lot more stuff in it, but I went with the theatrical versions of all these movies to get a very baseline review, if you saw them in theaters at the time they came out, where your ranking would be. And this one it's such a mess. I've never heard of another movie that has a producer's cut. I've heard of director's cuts and like R-rated cuts, but I've never heard of a producer having to do a cut of a movie because the theatrical cut is just so bad. This movie is so weird and all over the place. It's Paul Rudd's first movie, which is like, I guess special, but also, wow, what a movie to start out with. Halloween 6, just a flop of an entry, and that's why it's at number 6 on this list. There's a lot of stuff going on. Is there, I've always had this question, is there an incest plot? I always believed, and I don't know where I came up with this idea, or not even idea. I feel like, is Michael Myers the father of Jamie's baby? Because that's sort of the vibe that the movie gives me, which is gross because that's incest. And it's just, the baby subplot is very weird. That baby is in danger the entire movie. That poor friggin' baby. And then you've got, I can't even remember the main character's name. That's how, like, forgettable of a movie this is. Anyway, she's got a kid, and then, like, I guess she's related to Laurie somehow. It's just all over the place. It's really, really messy. It is a messy, messy movie, which is why it's sitting at the bottom of this ranking. Coming in at number 5 is Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. This is the second entry in sort of the Jamie Lloyd timeline of the franchise. It's like, okay, I don't know, like she can't talk, but then she talks at the end, and then her sister dies, which is just sort of stupid. And then her sister's friend Tina becomes like a very important character to her, despite the fact it's just her sister's friend, and we've never seen any sort of like bonding between them really before the movie starts. But obviously you can't know that before the movie starts because it's all self-contained within the movie. I don't love it, and that's why it's at number 5. I'm just not really a fan of the Jamie Lloyd movies. I think what they did was cool, definitely carrying on like a legacy thing if Jamie Lee Curtis didn't want to return. Sort of keeping the franchise alive with a new character but still having ties to the original is a very classic thing for franchises to do, to keep progressing the story and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just a Laurie Strode lover, so it's just, I'm not really a fan of watching Halloween movies where she's not the focal point. Anyways, so Halloween 5 is number 5. So coming in at 4 is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. This is the one that kicked off the Jamie Lloyd subplot. It's very similar to 5. It's not the worst entry in this like sort of subplot. It's weird, question mark. I don't know. It's like they're just trying to do a lot of things with this Jamie Lloyd thing. And I wonder if they ever made it past part 6 with her character, like what would have ultimately happened. This is also one of the movies where Donald Pleasence is at his craziest. I feel like as the Halloween franchise goes on, he gets more and more batshit crazy. And like understandably so. If my whole life was chasing down this crazy guy that keeps killing people, obviously I'd be a little cracked in the head as well. But I just feel like the older Donald Pleasence got in the Halloween franchise, the more crazy he got. But yeah, that's what I have to say about Halloween 4. It's mid, which is why it's number 4 on the list. It's mid. It's the middle point. So coming in at number 3, we've got Halloween H2O. This is where the first time I watched H2O, I wasn't really a fan of it. Obviously, it's like the return of Jamie Lee Curtis into the franchise and sort of wiping out the Jamie Lloyd subplot. And I think they did a good job at bringing Michael Myers into like the modern era at the time. I think it's an interesting way to continue the franchise, having Laurie move out of Haddonfield and like take on a new identity. Obviously, she had a kid with someone, so she's got a son. So that sort of continues the legacy thing a bit, because then it's not just her life she has to fight for, it's someone else's and stuff. And the 90s were a cool time for horror. It's not my favorite era, but it's definitely a really cool era. We've got LL Cool J in this movie playing a security guard. And then this movie also has an incredible impact on it from Scream, because Scream had just come out 2 years before. And I think that's what I was trying to say. I think Scream really revitalized what teenagers could and would be in horror movies, where it's so like meta and stuff. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what I was trying to say, that this movie has a big impact on it from Scream. So that's H2O coming in at number 3 on the ranking list. Coming in at number 2, we've got Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. So the first time I watched through the whole Halloween franchise leading up to when Kills came out, I skipped over Season of the Witch because I knew it didn't really have a place in the franchise as a whole, where it's sort of a one-off and it's its own thing, because originally it was going to be an anthology series. And you know, it's weird at times. You've got like the whole 20-year-old girl, like 50-year-old man romantic relationship, but then like she's a robot, so does it like really count? I mean, that was a spoiler, but I'm guessing if you're watching this, you've probably seen the movies. But I really don't have a whole lot to say about this movie. I've only seen it like 1.5 times. I enjoy it, and obviously I enjoyed it more than everything else I've seen on the list. Probably because it's so unique within the franchise, where it's not a Michael Myers Halloween movie, but it's still a Halloween movie, if that makes any sense. And then finally coming in at number 1 is Halloween 2. This is sort of, I guess, where Kills got its inspiration to pick up right where the other movie left off. And we've got Laurie in the hospital directly after the events of the first Halloween movie, and Michael Myers is still out on the town and stuff. And I really enjoyed this movie. This is a lot of fun to watch. I have this on VHS, and it's an orange tape, and it's the only colored tape that I own, which makes me very excited whenever I get to see it and play it and stuff. And it's just cool. I'm interested to see if they had continued it anthology-wise with Season of the Witch. Like, you get Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 3. In that world, would Halloween 4 have been a continuation of 3? Would it have been something new? I think a franchise that does like a movie and its sequel and then a new movie and its sequel would be kind of a cool thing and something we haven't really seen before. But yeah, Halloween 2 is a lot of fun. It's good. Jamie Lee Curtis has a terrible wig in it though, which I guess will sort of take you out, especially if you watched it like back to back with Halloween. You'd be like, what happened to her hair? But that's besides the point. So that was my ranking of the first 6 sequels in the Halloween franchise. Let me know your rankings down in the comments below, and make sure to be here tomorrow for part 2 of this ranking list, where I will be covering everything from Halloween Resurrection to Halloween Ends. So stay tuned for that, and happy Halloween Eve, everyone.